Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Sécuripro, c'est 30 ans d'existence et surtout d'expérience à vos côtés. 30 ans où nous avons cherché à vous satisfaire, à répondre à vos questions et surtout à trouver sans cesse des solutions à vos problèmes. Depuis toujours, nous restons attentifs aux évolutions et aux innovations dans les domaines de la sûreté et de l'incendie pour protéger ce qui est important pour vous, vos collaborateurs et vos biens. C'est pour toutes ces raisons que nous avons décidé de proposer un nouveau produit unique sur le marché français pour répondre à une demande croissante. Nous venons de signer un partenariat exclusif avec la société FIRE ROVER, qui est la seule société à proposer un système de détection des incendies avant même qu'ils ne se déclarent et à pouvoir agir en conséquence. FIRE ROVER, c'est 350 sites protégés aux États-Unis, plus de 1000 incendies éteints chaque année, des litres d'eau économisés et des millions d'euros sauvés. FIRE ROVER, c'est une équipe de surveillance qui est connectée 24/7 à des caméras thermiques de qualité militaire et qui est capable de prendre la main à distance sur le système d'extinction, de cibler la menace et de l'éteindre en un temps record. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes fiers et heureux de concrétiser ce partenariat et d'apporter une solution unique, innovante, à la pointe de la technologie et largement plébiscitée par nos voisins américains.
FIRE ROVER was created by the original three partners, Brad Gladstone, Jeremy Dusing, and Pete Merry. Originally, Brad owned a company that did security for scrap metal facilities. And we saw a ton of fires through using thermal detection. We were detecting bodies, but actually we started seeing fires in these facilities. And, a couple of them had some catastrophic fires. They had reached out to Brad, and Brad, being a nice guy, basically said, I wish there was something we could do. And, one of his operators basically, or one of the owners said, next time put the fire out. And Brad, he was a serial entrepreneur. I've known him for 30 plus years. He had since passed away, but, in the beginning, his whole idea was, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to create a solution for putting fires out, basically using thermal cameras through the internet. And that's where it started. And, he brought me in, myself and my partner, we were the first two employees. And we started building this, really focusing on scrap metal. It got into waste and recycling, and we've seen a ton of spikes in lithium-ion battery related fire incidences in waste and recycling facilities. So it really kind of was the perfect time. So we've been blessed. Waste and recycling facilities have really taken us, and we're covering over 400 facilities in the U.S. and Canada. And during all this time, I started looking at the problems with fires. In 2015, when we started, a lot of operators, didn't really understand whether this was an outside problem, an inherent risk of fires, or was it an operational problem. And really, for the first 3 years, I spent a lot of time researching and talking and, talking to most of the experts, fire experts, and, really figuring out what was going on in the waste and recycling facilities with fires and with, lithium-ion batteries and traditional hazards. I think the entire industry now understands that the problem is something that really needs a three-prong approach to solving. One is education of the public so that they recycle correctly. So these, lithium-ion batteries and other hazards don't get into our waste stream. Two is, operational best practices, making sure, that your piles are low enough, making sure that you have, walls in between piles and other things, breakage to stop any fire from actually getting into other operations, and then the technology. And so we have, a patented solution that puts fires out. We utilize thermal cameras, smoke analytics, and flash analytics. And, we use, a lot of people will call it AI, but we use, our software is built to look at and verify whether there are fire incidences. And then we have human beings that are trained FIRE ROVER agents that look at, verify, and can clear false alarms, but they can also react to any situation, which is really our customers are utilizing us to fight the fires with them on the front lines. We also call the fire departments and the fire professionals, which most fire professionals are relatively happy that our solution is in, because it saves them from having to come to a catastrophic fire event and put themselves into danger. So really the idea is once we call the fire department, we're focusing on those initial 10 minutes between when a fire starts or when the symptoms of a fire start and when the fire department can get on scene. And again, we're doing our best to call that fire department, getting them there earlier, but we're also trying to set the tripwire as early in the process as possible. There's a lot of different types of operations, preemptive maintenance, where we can actually catch heat abnormalities that aren't necessarily fires, but are going to become a fire. So we call that the pre-incipient stage, but it's really setting the tripwire as early in the process as possible, because the earlier you catch a fire, the easier it is to put out. We've never had a catastrophic loss that has started in an area that we protect, where we put the fire out. Things can happen from a overwhelming of a system, right? I mean, there are still risks, but at the end of the day, we mitigate those risks for insurance companies and for our operators on a daily basis. We've had less than 33 incidences over the past 8 years where we've actually needed the fire department to come on scene, and less than half of those we needed the fire department to actually spray any sort of water. So we have a pretty excellent track record when it comes to protecting these facilities. I had spoke to him a number of times. He's basically an insurer in France. He has basically been looking at my system, as we've been proving it out over the last 5 years, and he introduced me, to SECURIPRO, which is why, I think the idea has come to, you guys need our solution. Those AI systems in France, the AI systems, the reason AI systems don't work as well as ours is that we actually can handle false alarms, which no fire protection equipment wants a false alarm, because it becomes a false deluge, it becomes a mess, it becomes a problem with your business continuity. So really with our system, we are looking and verifying for active locations that have an inherent risk of fire in their businesses. And the insurance companies have seen this, which is why I'm in the UK, which is why we're being brought into France with SECURIPRO, and then also in Australia, New Zealand, and obviously Canada as well. So I think the reason we like to work with SECURIPRO is that it's family-owned business. Really, we are a family-owned business. We've grown, but at the same time, we're very humble people. We understand that, this is an operation, whether we're doing the largest waste company in the world, and we have 8 of the top 10 waste and recycling companies in North America. But really, the idea is, we really do take our job seriously, and we are there to help fight these fires in replace of our customers. And it's better to have us as a remote agent on the front lines than have a fire professional or an operator on the front lines. And I can tell you, from the injuries that do happen in the US and Canada, the numbers are about 50 a year, but most of them are to fire professionals. Most of them are to firefighters who've come on scene and they get overheated or they get hurt while they're fighting these fires. It's really not the employees. The great news, right, is that typically these firefighters or the employees can get out and evacuate, and that's really what they should do from a best practice perspective. And if they are going to help fight a fire, they should do things that aren't close proximity. They should be able to shoot a hose from 90 feet away, not from 4 feet away. And same thing for the fire professionals. When they come on scene with our system, they come to a location that looks that is safe for them to go into. They can talk to our agents. We can do whatever's needed to make sure that they're comfortable to help fight your fire. Because most of the time, these firefighters, a lot of times, they're going to let them burn because, they don't want to put their employees or their firefighters and, their employees at risk.